Hello everybody, and welcome to Rest and Reason. I'm RP the Red Panda, and today we're going to be doing my second game versus game video. And we're going to be looking at Sheriff of Nottingham versus Lady's Choice. Now, Lady's Choice is a pretty new game on the market. I think it went through a Kickstarter last year, and it just went out to its supporters. And it was a very controversial game because its theme is kind of objectifying of men, kind of makes women look like they're just chasing very superficial things, but it's a game. It's a funny, enjoyable game, and I personally found it quite funny. If you don't find it funny, that's fine. Just don't play it if you're very sensitive. It's definitely not for you. As for Sheriff of Nottingham, it is a well-known classic in the board gaming industry and just got a brand new print. This is the first edition, which I personally prefer the art of, but many people think that the new art is fine. I don't love it as much, but it is still pretty good art. Let's go ahead and get into what the main mechanic of these two games is. And that main mechanic is Smuggler Bluffing. Now, Smuggler Bluffing differs from normal bluffing in that in normal bluffing, you're generally doing more of like this betting mechanic and or trying to trick people into thinking something about your static hand. In Smuggler Bluffing, you are taking cards such as this card that is okay to get through and this card that is not okay to get through, and you're trying to get those cards past the other person without the other person stopping the cards. Now, both of these games have that. In Sheriff of Nottingham, it's these cards. You have things like apples, which are okay, and things like mead that the government wouldn't let you trade without their permission. And then Lady's Choice, it's qualities of men. So some men have qualities that you want to get, and some men have things that you don't want to get. So your job is to try to get the woman to choose you despite the fact that you're trying to slip by some bad qualities that she doesn't know about. Let's go ahead and get into the comparison of these two games. Round 1. Endurance. Replayability. Sheriff of Nottingham. How do you like them apples? Now, it doesn't necessarily win this on player count, which actually would be Lady's Choice, but the main reason Sheriff of Nottingham is more replayable is that it has more elements of strategy that you can do, more different ways to win, whereas Lady's Choice really just comes down to, can I bluff out my opponent? And Sheriff of Nottingham has just a smidge more of a game on top of it, so that's why it wins in replayability. Masterability. Sheriff of Nottingham wins! And this largely has to do with Lady's Choice has a lot of luck. Every time that you change things up, every time that somebody looks at your cards, it's going to be based off of luck. Whereas Sheriff of Nottingham is based off of everybody can kind of see what you're picking up. Everybody can see what you're doing when you're putting it in. Everybody can hold and feel the things you're trying to get by. So ultimately, this game has more masterability because there really isn't much luck that's going to control whether you win this game or not. Whereas this game, luck is a pretty big factor. Round 1, Sheriff of Nottingham wins. Round 2, Design. Novelty of mechanics. Lady's Choice wins. Because Lady's Choice takes the original idea and makes it a little bit different. Instead of not wanting to get stopped, or sometimes wanting to get stopped, you want to be the one stopped most of the time in Lady's Choice. You want to be the one chosen. And your goal is a little bit different because you also get to share information. In Sheriff of Nottingham, nobody can show the other people what they're doing before they do it. Whereas in Lady's Choice, you can show small pieces of information strategically to try to coax somebody into looking at you, into choosing you. So it wins on the novelty of mechanics, whereas Sheriff of Nottingham is literally just re-implementing a game from the 1950s. It's basically the same game, just repackaged. Synergy of mechanics. Sheriff of Nottingham wins! It really balances out so that none of the cards are necessarily that much better than the other cards in some ways, Whereas with Lady's Choice, the cards are just outright better or worse, and sometimes you'll get stuck as a guy with only good stuff in your hand, and sometimes as a lady, you'll get stuck looking at a bunch of guys who are really good, and that makes it really difficult to tell which one of them's the worst. Round 2, tie. Round 3, audience. Simplicity of mechanics. Tie. They're both really simple games. You just slip stuff into things and try to pass them by in Sheriff of Nottingham, and in Lady's Choice, you pick up a couple cards, you discard a couple cards. It's very, very simple. I think you could play this with just about any age level and group. Universality. Lady's Choice wins because you can play Lady's Choice with a larger player count. With the extra bonus game that's actually inside of this called Ladies and Gentlemen's Choice, you can actually play with, I believe it's up to 9 players. And Sheriff of Nottingham, I believe, only can get up to 5 players. So it's just a slight difference, but between two games that are very similar, that makes this one just a little bit more universal. Lady's Choice wins round 3. Round 4, theme, mechanical. Sheriff of Nottingham wins. You really feel like you're trying to get things past the Sheriff of Nottingham, or that you're the corrupt Sheriff of Nottingham trying to get money from these people who are just trying to get by things that really don't matter if they get them by. It's not like this is highly dangerous mead or anything. Lady's Choice also is very thematic, but it's a little bit athematic on some of its mechanics, where you discard personality traits and stuff to pick up 2 more at random. It's not usually how people work. People usually have to make a concerted effort to then get specific things they're aiming for. The fact that you're just randomly changing your personality is a little bit athematic. Artistic. Sheriff of Nottingham wins. This really just has to do with, this did quite good for an independent designer, for somebody who, I believe it's their first game ever. But it's hard to compete with, especially a company like Come On and Arcane Wonders. These are 2 of the best board game companies at making visual board games. And you can just see how nice the art is on this box. This is one of my favorite artistic pieces of board gaming. So it was kind of a lopsided battle on this one. Round 4, Sheriff of Nottingham wins. Round 5, entertainment, thought. Sheriff of Nottingham wins. You have a little bit more of a game to think through. But honestly, neither of these games shine very much in thought. Because really, as much as people like to pretend that bluffing games are a lot of thought, they're really more just...
All right. Where is the poison? The battle of wits has begun. It ends when you decide and we both drink, and find out who is right and who is dead.
But it's so simple. All I have to do is divine from what I know of you. Are you the sort of man who would put the poison into his own goblet or his enemy?
And yes, that's obviously a skill, but it's not really thought-provoking. It's more of just something where it's like, what do I know of this person? Okay, that's what I know. Energy. Sheriff of Nottingham wins. They're really fun. I had a lot of fun laughing at Lady's Choice. There were some really funny cards and really funny combinations, and seeing how ridiculously horrible the guys end up being, or ridiculously amazing the guys end up being, is often quite hysterical. With Sheriff of Nottingham, it's actually a little bit different. It's not as funny and party game. It's a little bit more staring across at the person like a poker match and trying to see if they'll flinch in a way that gives away what you need to know to then go with something. Just staring at them and going, are they the type of person who would do this? Are they the type of person who would do this? And then doing it or not doing it. Round 5, Sheriff of Nottingham wins. Victor. Total score, Sheriff of Nottingham 3.3. Total score, Lady's Choice 2.6. Sheriff of Nottingham wins. Sheriff of Nottingham gets a silver recliner. It is a game that I would say that if you want a bluffing game in your group, this is probably one of your best bluffing games you're going to be able to get that isn't something you can just play with a 52 card deck. This is probably one of your best bets. Ladies' Choice gets a bronze recliner. It definitely has a place on people's shelves. There are people who I think would really enjoy this, but I don't think the general board gaming community would love this game. It's both a little bit crass for the general board gaming community, who's very sensitive in defense of the author, a little bit too sensitive sometimes, but it's also just very mechanically simple, and it relies a lot on its kind of gimmick of laughing at the cards that I can truly see being boring after just a couple playthroughs. Those are my opinions on these two games. Please let me know in the comments what you think of Sheriff of Nottingham, what you think of Ladies' Choice. If you had to say which one you think would win or lose, what one would it be? And then finally, I really would love to know what other games you'd like me to compare in the future. And please hit that subscribe button. I can't emphasize this enough that it really means a lot to me. I literally run over to my wife every time somebody subscribes and goes, somebody subscribed, I'm super excited, or a couple people subscribed, I'm super excited. And it's because I am looking forward to the community growing and the fact that we can have some conversations. And actually, I've been really impressed and really thankful to you guys for all of the comments that I've been getting recently. I've been getting way more comments, and they're not just positive comments. Some of them are against what I'm saying, but they've been respectful, and I've really appreciated that. So thank you guys, and join us next time on Rest and Reason.